Hey everyone, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a 2019 Chevrolet Traverse. I want to walk through how to install the CURT Class 3 trailer hitch receiver. As you can see, when we're not using our hitch, reinstall this panel and it keeps the nice factory look on our vehicle. However, we remove the panel, it gives us access to our receiver tube opening. This is going to be a Class 3 hitch, steel construction, black powder coat finish, so it's going to hold up really well. It's going to stay looking nice for a really long time. Now, Class 3 hitch is going to have a 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening, so it's going to accommodate a lot of different accessories. Bike racks, your ball mounts, your cargo carriers. Maybe you have some bikes, you're tired of loading inside the vehicle, you're looking for a bike rack, but you don't want to buy one that you have to put up on your roof. Adding a bike rack on the back is going to make it a lot easier for getting those bikes on and off the vehicle, and you don't have to carry them inside. Maybe you want to put a cargo carry on. Get some items from inside, put them outside, and make a little bit more room for your passengers. Ball mounts. Ball mounts are going to be great for towing your trailer. So this hitch, being a 2-inch by 2-inch, is going to work with a lot of different accessories. Our hitch pin hole is going to be 5/8 inch in diameter. I'm going to take a standard 5/8 hitch pin. Pin and clip does not come with this hitch, however they can be found here at eTrailer. We're going to have rolled steel safety chain loops. You can see very large openings. These are going to accommodate some of your larger size safety chain hooks. Now we're going to give you some measurements and weight capacities to help you when deciding on any of those hitch mount accessories. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost part of the bumper, it's going to be about 3.5 inches. The number is important for any of your hitch mount accessories like your bike racks and cargo carriers that fold up. You want to make sure they're not going to make contact. From the ground to the top innermost part of the receiver tube is going to be about 20 inches. Keep that number in mind for any of your hitch mount accessories that may sit a little bit lower and may require a little bit more ground clearance. As far as our weight capacities go, we're going to have a 750-pound max tongue weight, which is a downward pressure on the inside of the receiver tube. So when you're loading the cargo carrier, bike rack, or putting a trailer on, you want to make sure you're not exceeding that. We're going to have a 5,000-pound gross trailer weight, which is the trailer plus the load included. You can use weight distribution with this hitch. Those numbers are going to stay the same. I always recommend checking the owner's manual of the vehicle. Make sure the vehicle can withstand that amount of weight. You're going to go with the lowest number between the vehicle and the hitch. Now, if you're adding a hitch like this on the back of your vehicle, you ever plan on towing, I recommend getting wiring. Wiring, you can find different kinds here at eTrailer for this vehicle. Also recommend a ball mount. Depending on where your trailer sits, some trailers sit lower, some trailers sit higher. If you're towing one trailer, the way you're going to determine if you need a rise or drop is to sit your trailer level, measure the top of the coupler, take the measurement from the ground here, and the distance between those two is the rise or drop that you're going to need. You can find different rise or drops here at eTrailer. If you tow more than one trailer, what I recommend is getting an adjustable ball mount. That just allows you to adjust the height of the ball for those different heights for those couplers. Now let's go ahead and lift it up in the air and we'll take a closer look at it. Start your installation, you're going to open your hatch. Right below your tail light, you're going to have 2 covers. Take a trim panel tool, we're going to pop those open. We're going to take a 7mm socket and we're going to remove those 2 screws. We're going to come right down below those. In the corner, we're going to take a T20 Torx bit. We're going to remove this one. Once you get these 3 out, you're going to repeat it on the other side. Next, in each wheel well, behind the tire, you're going to have 4 screws we need to remove. We're going to use the T15 Torx bit to remove those. And you'll have 3 more below it. Next, on each side, this trim piece, if you have it, we need to pop it loose from here to about right here. When you get up here, there's another fastener. If at all possible, try not to pop it out where this comes out, because you're not going to be able to get this panel back on that fastener. But what I'm going to do is, because there's not a whole lot of space, there's a screw that sits right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can actually get that out of the body, so that gives us a little bit more room and we're not flexing this right here. If you think you can get it without doing that, I would suggest it. There's that screw right there, it's 7mm, but if you see that fastener, it actually attaches to a plastic piece on here. If it comes off there, like I said, you're not gonna be able to get it back on. You'd have to pull that fastener out. To give yourself a little bit more room, if you need it, you can try taking a trim panel tool, getting behind that fastener, and pop it out. If for some reason you get up here and this fastener comes off, there's an opening. Pop the fastener out of here and then slide it back on here before you reinstall this. Now we'll take a 7mm socket and remove that bolt. Now what I recommend is taking some painter's tape. Where these two lines meet, we're going to put tape on each line. We're going to put tape along this edge. And the metal fasteners, we're going to put tape along this edge. So when we're taking our fascia off, if they come in contact, they are not going to damage any of the parts. When we go to put it back on, if these little fasteners meet this panel in any way, we don't scratch this panel. I also recommend, if you want to go a step farther, you can take the bottom of your light right here, or this panel here, so that as you're sliding it in, it slides underneath that light. If it gets caught up in any way, you don't damage either one of those pieces. On the bottom side of the vehicle, you're going to have two bolts. We're going to remove the one closest to the center of the vehicle on each side. Next, we're going to grab an extra set of hands. We're going to start removing our fascia. We're going to start all the way in the corner and work our way to the center. Keep in mind, if you have any wiring or anything like that, sensors, don't just pull your fascia off. You want to make sure you pull it off slow and disconnect any wires. We're just going to gently start pulling out. Again, work your way to the center of the vehicle. If for some reason this corner seems like it's getting stuck under the light, if you reach up, right up here along this edge, and pull straight back on it, just kind of move it around, it'll start to pop out. When this edge starts popping out, then you can start working your way towards the middle a little bit. Once you got it off, take your fascia and set it somewhere safe so it doesn't get damaged. Next, we're going to take a 15mm socket. We're going to remove the two bolts here for our exhaust hanger. We're going to come up top. We're going to remove the two nuts with the same socket. When we do the inside one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen it just enough where I can get it off with my fingers. That way it holds the bumper beam in place. While I'm doing the other side, we don't have to worry about this side falling off. Slide our bumper beam off, and it will not be reinstalled. We're going to slide our hitch into our frame rail, and then we're going to reinstall the factory nuts on the top. We're going to snug those up. Now the instructions are going to tell you to reinstall this bracket with the new hardware that comes in the kit. However, when you do that, you're going to raise the exhaust up, and we're going to have to get hardware through a couple holes down here on the bottom. This is going to get kind of close. So what I suggest is taking your factory bolts. We're going to put these in place here. We'll snug these up here in a second, and then we'll install our ones through the bottom of the frame rail. And then we can come back and remove these and then install the bolts that are supposed to go in there. We're going to have a pull wire. The spring end, where I mentioned earlier, the two holes on the bottom. We're going to start with the one closest to the front of the vehicle, which is going to be here. We're going to take our spring end, we're going to feed it up through this hole, and we're going to come out this hole here. Make sure you don't pull the wire all the way through. We just want the spring end to come out. You may have to work with a wire a little bit because it is going to come in your kit kind of rolled up. we're going to take our pull wire. You're going to add on a spacer block and a carriage bolt. Thread the carriage bolt right onto the pull wire. Feed your spacer block down into the hole. Again, make sure the other end of your wire doesn't come out. And we'll pull that down and then down through a hole. I suggest taking your bolt and spinning it to make sure it actually slides down into the spacer block correctly. And we'll leave our pull wire on for right now. We're going to repeat that for this hole. Now we're going to pull our wires off. Be careful you don't push your bolt back up inside. We're going to take our conical tooth washer, make sure that the teeth are facing up. We're going to set it in place, and if you take your finger and kind of push on the conical tooth washer, that will hold your bolt in place, and then you can slowly thread on the nut. Once you get a couple of threads on the nut, then you can release it and tighten it up all the way. Once you have your hardware installed on the bottom of the frame area, you're going to come back with a 3/4 inch socket. You're going to tighten them down and then torque them to the specifications in the instructions. Once the hardware on the bottom of your frame roll is torqued down, you can remove the 2 bolts here. We're going to be installing hex bolt, conical tooth washer. Again, make sure that the teeth are facing towards the hitch and away from the head of the bolt. And then we can run them through our bracket for our exhaust and reinstall them. Then we'll come back with a 17mm socket. We're going to tighten these and then torque them to the specifications and the instructions. Once you have all of your hardware torqued to the specification and instructions, what I recommend is if you're installing wiring, install it now. Your plug's going to be right here. You're simply going to remove this cap, plug it in, hang your wiring over, reinstall your fascia in reverse order from the way you took it off. If you're going to install it later, what you're going to have to do with your fascia on is you're going to have to reach up underneath your fascia with a trim panel tool, pop this little fastener off, and pull this plug out where it's hanging down so you can access it. That's going to do it for a look at and installation of the CURT Class 3 Trailer Hitch receiver on a 2019 Chevrolet Traverse.